Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Vaughan Manor. And today, we're going to be looking back on October. Yes, I'm doing that BookTube thing, the wrap-up. I figured since I'm not doing TBR videos anymore, I can do a wrap-up. I can do a monthly wrap-up. I can do that. Sure. So that's what I'm doing today. We'll see how it goes. My October wrap-up, where I talk about the things that I have read, a few plans, a couple of the videos I've been watching on BookTube that bear mentioning, and some other things. So yeah, let's do that. It'll be exciting. So what I've read. Okay, that was that. No, yes, pretty much most of October I was bogged down in this monster, as you might know if you saw my review for The Stand, which after I watched it again before I put it up, was mostly negative, it seemed like. But there were good things. There were good things in The Stand. I got some interesting comments on that video. Some people were mentioning that, don't I wish I had read the cut version instead of the uncut version? No, actually, I'm glad I read the uncut version. Although the very worst character in that book, The Stand, the kid, I don't think he was in the cut version. The original published version, I don't think the kid, the wretchedly terrible, stupid character, the kid was in that version. So that is something that should have not been in the book. The book would be like much better, actually, without that character. So that would have been an improvement. But everything else, I'm assuming a lot of the stuff that got cut was some of the smaller stuff. And some of the best stuff in The Stand was the smaller stuff. I don't think anybody who loves The Stand loves it because of the plot. I mean, the main plot is dumb. It's ridiculous. It's just so stupid. So I can't imagine. I mean, there barely is a plot to The Stand. So I can't imagine that's the attraction to that book. But a lot of the good stuff, and there was some really good stuff in that book, and there's some good writing in that book. But I think some of the good stuff is probably the smaller moments, some of the smaller character moments, things like that, some of the characters' individual stories. I bet a lot of that got cut out, and that's, like I said, the good stuff. So I'm happy to have read the uncut version of The Stand. It is the author's preferred version. I always want to read the author's preferred version of books if I can. They might not always be the best versions, but that's the version that the author wants out. So there you go. I want to respect the author's vision. So there was that. I read that. I read a Star Trek book, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine book, which I'll talk about when I do my book trek video, which probably won't go up this month because I just realized this month is almost over, of course, which is why I'm doing this wrap-up. So I probably won't get book trek out actually until early next month, which kind of sucks. Book trek's awesome. If you don't know about book trek, a few of us are doing book trek where every month we will read a Star Trek novel from one of the series, and the series that we're reading a book from this month is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is one of the best, if not the best, Star Trek show. Great show, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So I read that, and it took literally, I think, 3 hours to read that book. I literally read it. It was on a Saturday afternoon. No, it was Sunday afternoon. I read that. So I'll talk about that. But the other thing I'm still reading, I've got a few pages left. I'm reading it on the Kindle, so I've got like 7% or something left, is a book called The Fog by James Herbert. And I'm reading that because Juan, over at his channel on Plagued by Visions, fantastic BookTube channel, Juan at Plagued by Visions, this is his vision of the month, it's his book club pick of the month. It's his vision of the month. The Fog by James Herbert. Interesting book. Very pulpy. Very pulpy horror book from the 70s. It is well known in the horror community for being so extremely violent. It is a very, very violent and over-the-top book in a lot of ways. It's basically a pulp horror book. A fairly entertaining one. It's the writing is okay. It's decent, I guess. But very pulpy writing. Not bad. But the appeal of The Fog for most of that book is just the over-the-top horror of the whole thing. It's basically about there's an earthquake and this fog is released from the ground. And everything the fog covers, like if any human or animal that's in the fog will become violently insane. And that's it. And the fog gets bigger and spreads out and drives more and more people crazy. And there's all these different scenes of people going crazy and horrific murders. And I'm just figuring, you get the sense that James Herbert was sitting around and he's like just thinking of, what do I do with this fog? Got this terrible fog. It drives everybody insane who this fog covers. What's the worst thing that this fog could do? Killer cows. Right. Killer cows. That's terrible. That's the worst thing that could happen. Killer cows. Cows that murder. Unless it be pigeons. Yeah, pigeons is even worse than cows. Murdering pigeons. And that's basically, I think, how it went. We do get murdering killer cows and murdering pigeons. And it's just as ridiculous as that sounds. It has some silly moments. And some of the violence in The Fog is so over the top. I'm doing a whole review on The Fog, so I shouldn't go on about it now. But the first half of that book was kind of that way. But then you get to the part where the fog gets to London, because of course it does. So the fog gets to London. And that part of the book is really good. That has some really disturbing imagery and really interesting stuff. It's still pulpy pulp horror. But that part of the book, that back part of the book when the fog reaches London it's really some good stuff. So yeah, there was that. So I will do my whole review on that probably on Saturday. That is literally the only other book that I've read. So basically, 3 books I've read this month. The Stand, Star Trek, and The Fog, which I should be done with by tomorrow. But on these wrap-ups, I'm also going to be talking about the comics I read, because I do comic videos every Wednesday. I didn't read too much. I finished up at the very beginning of the month the X-Men Epic Collection that I talked about on yesterday's video. Because I'm reading every issue of the X-Men, although I'm thinking I'm going to put off the X-Men for the rest of the month, just because I want to read some other stuff. Right now I'm reading this, which I got recently. This is the Killraven Epic Collection, which is this crazy series from the 70s, which takes place after... It's basically based on the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. It's the sequel to that. It's the comic book sequel to that. Because the aliens come back in the far future of 2000, and there's another war in 2000, or 2008, or something, in the future. And this story starts in 2018, when the Martians have already conquered the Earth. So it's interesting. I forgot how bad the first 3 issues of this were. First 3 issues of this are pretty terrible, but then Don McGregor gets on the book, and it becomes a really interesting book. In the beginning, as I've showed in my book haul when I got this, Killraven wears a very unfortunate outfit. He has this mankini here that he has, and it is unfortunate. I don't want to judge him for that. I mean, you should wear what you want to wear when you live in a Martian-infested wasteland. But eventually, he gets a much cooler costume, and this is what he looks like for most of this comic. So this has been fun. I'm having a good time reading that. I've seen some good BookTube videos this month. The ones of note, I should have taken notes actually, but I forgot. But the ones of note, Juan at Plagued by Visions. Juan wrote a short story called Hunger, and I listened to that. He basically just narrates his short story, so it's like an hour-long audiobook for free, and it's fantastic. Juan at Plagued by Visions did a great job on that. Fantastic, Juan at Plagued by Visions. Great story. Really disgusting. About the most disgusting thing you'll hear. Don't do what I did. Don't try to eat breakfast and listen to this. That was a bad idea. Juan ruined my breakfast. But it's a great video, great story. Completely unique. But, you know, trigger warnings for disgustingness. All the trigger warnings. It's gross. In classic Plagued by Visions style. But really good. Really good. What else? Mr. Morningstar and Pax Panic did a fantastic team up that appeared on both their channels. Great video. I'll try to remember to link all this stuff down below. That was really, really good. I like that. Probably my favorite thing that I've seen all month, though, is Monsterblood. Great channel, Monsterblood. Did his 10 favorite horror movies. And it was great. It was a really great video. He had some great choices for his 10 favorites. And his commentary on each of the films was really interesting. It was really interesting to get his take on all of those films. And they're pretty much all of them are classic horror films. So yeah, it was right up my alley, that video. I did a couple of those myself, but they weren't this month, but they weren't as good as his. There's been some good ones of those too. Did one of those, which was really good. But definitely Monsterblood he hit it out of the park with that video. It was great. So watched that stuff. Watched James Holder as always. You know, I should probably talk about James Holder just for a minute, because I think there are some people that don't know who James Holder is, which is disturbing, because James Holder is the greatest booktuber alive. I didn't know if you were aware of that, but he is. I know some people have the idea that Steve Donahue was the greatest booktuber alive, but that is not true. He comes close, but then he had that video where he says a bunch of terrible things about the first Fantastic Four Epic Collection, and that just knocked him out of the running, obviously. But yeah, James Holder, greatest booktuber alive. Why? Why, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. See, here's the thing, and I've been watching this guy's videos since for a while before I ever tried to do this. Here's the thing about these videos, James Holder's videos. He doesn't worry about things like how many views he's going to get. He doesn't care what the thumbnails look like. Doesn't care how many subs he's got. He doesn't care about that, it doesn't seem like. He doesn't care about editing. None of that. His thing, it's all about what it should be about. The focus is always on the books. Goes in there, turns on the camera, has a really interesting chat about books, or he does a really interesting tag, or whatever else he does, but it's always focused on the books. And he does a lot of videos, and they're always really good. Awesome stuff. And like I said, you know, that's what he focuses on. I don't think he cares about a lot of the other stuff. I'm pretty sure that even if he lived on the moon, and the only people that ever saw his videos were aliens who wouldn't even receive the broadcasts of his videos for 1,000 years. I think if that was the case, he would still do these videos. And of course, the aliens would watch them 100,000 years later or whatever and be like, these are really good. Too bad all these books he's talking about don't exist anymore. But yeah, definitely check out James Holder, because he is, in case you were unaware, the greatest booktuber alive. So yeah, been watching that. So that stuff's all good. As far as the videos that I've done this month, I've been mostly happy with them. Mostly. Not all of them. Mostly. I think my Dracula video that I did was just okay, because I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for that one. And I think it shows. So there's that. And there's a video that I did that I haven't even put out, which was, I did a video on the new annotated Dracula, which is one of my very favorite books. It's up there. And I rewatched that one and I'm like, it's basically just me going, this book is fantastic. Look how great this is. Look how great this is. Look how great this is. And so I never did put that up, but I might. I might put that up. I've got nothing to put up tomorrow, so I might put that up anyway, even though it's not all that great. Why not? I've put up a lot of not so great videos before. I can continue. And also I'm a little self-conscious because the last time I did it, the new annotated Dracula was annotated by Leslie Klinger, who did the Sherlock Holmes, and he did Lovecraft, Leslie S. Klinger. And when I did my Sherlock Holmes video, he made a comment about the video. And so now I know he watched that video. And so now I'm like, oh man, if I put this out, he might watch it. And it sucks. And so there was that in mind. But what do you do? I might put it up anyway. So that was my month. Up to now. Of course, we've still got Halloween. And so no Sunday Penguin, but there will be a Halloween special of some sort. So whatever it is, I hope it's okay. So yeah, I guess that was my wrap up. I kind of went on and on. Sorry about that. I will catch you here next time with whatever the heck I put up. I will have an official review of The Fog up probably on Saturday. Yeah, probably on Saturday I'll put that up. Probably. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging in with me. I will see you next time.